Am I live on Twitch? Yes, yes, I am. Okay, one more. Give me a second. I'm just getting us live on YouTube, Twitch, X. I don't even check if I'm live on X. Why is that? Interesting. So, almost here, YouTube. Give me one more second. Read. Okay. I'm sorry, I've been having such a crazy day. All these antibiotics and medicines my kitty is on are making him really sick. But so I had to take him to a vet again just to make sure. But I guess that's normal for your cat to get sick when he's on antibiotic, like 2 different types of or 3 medicines. So he's okay. I got worried my cat wasn't okay because his tummy has been so sick. I've just been cleaning up after him nonstop, but I guess it's not that normal. He was just a little dehydrated, so he got a kitty IV of fluid and he's okay now. Thank God. I mean, he's also very old, so if he's not okay, it's really not, But the vet said for his age and everything, he's doing really well. I know. I guess it's normal, which I remembered because I'm on antibiotics a lot for sinus infections. And yeah, I guess I should have known that. But it's so funny because, like, I'll take way better care of my cat than I will of myself. I could be dying. I'm like, it's fine. It'll pass. My cat looks upset. I'm like, we're going to an emergency room. Which is good anyways, because I took him to like an online vet and you never know, it's like better for them to just, then, like, at least I know now. What is something? TikTok Studio is so strange. I don't know what's happening. If yesterday when I was doing a live with Matt, in case anyone missed it, the replay is available on YouTube. But yeah, the TikTok Studio wasn't working for him either. It's like changing sizes right now already. So if you guys can't hear or anything, I mean, TikTok Studio will let me know, but I don't know what's going on. So if that happens, I'll just restart the live from my phone and I'll just do my best to like convey what I'm talking about. But obviously these lives are way better when we can all see the actual receipts that we're talking about. I'd prefer to actually be able to see the receipts. Hey Steph, hey Leah, hey Maxwell, thanks for being on YouTube. Hey Kraken, thanks for being the best Twitch moderator ever. And I think, by the way, Kraken, just seeing your name, I think I didn't say this a long time ago, but you extended your subscription on Twitch, and I wanted to thank you. See how weird my brain works? It's like that was probably like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, and just seeing your name, it occurred to me. We have so much to talk about. I've been doing research at the vet's office. Okay, let me just refresh the presentation really quick. Let's tap the screen. Let's get to 50K as fast as possible. I know I've been all over the place for the last 3 weeks. I just have a lot going on at home. It's like we've been remodeling, changing just all sorts of things are going on. Then the hot water heater went out. My poor kitten is sick. I just feel like, I promise you, I'm not all over the place for nothing. I'm just barely holding everything together. You guys know what I mean. What did I say I needed to do really quick? Oh, yes. Refresh the presentation. Give me 1 second because I just added a bunch of things to the presentation. So we'll definitely have to start at the beginning. But man, so many weird things going on. And they'll just add as my iCloud updates. I'm just figuring out where I want to start. Hey, did you guys see Elon's rocket explode again? I would laugh about Elon's rockets exploding all the time, but all I can think is that's our tax dollars, so it's actually more upsetting. But, like, I'm a hat. Yes. Thank you, Miller. Thank you. I love these hats too. I also love hats in general. I've always been a hat person. Hats are amazing, especially because I have like I talk about this all the time, but my dad's Black, Hispanic, Indigenous Mexican. So I have the weirdest hair. If I don't have time to do my hair, it's that day, or you'll be like, was Felice electrocuted earlier? It's not a good look. I've never seen that cat. How precious. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Okay. I want to start really quick with this. It's all coming back to me now. Sorry. I did the first half of this presentation yesterday and I did the second half today. So I'm like looking at it like, what? Oh, yeah. Our de facto cult leader, Robert Reich, made a really good video because it's true. And I don't show you guys videos of Trump, but I do watch Trump making up lies all the time in the White House. And I'm going to go through a lot of the different types of lies today. But I saw Robert Reich, and I have played other Robert Reich videos where he talks about, Trump keeps talking about this golden age, and he talks about like the 50s and 60s, which is like the golden age of capitalism, which that was actually when the middle class reigned supreme, when the middle class doubled in size. It might be more than doubled in size when you could have a one income household and have, a car, a house, and 2.5 children, all of that good stuff. Remember, I was also showing you that video last Friday of that guy who was like, I remember astronauts and apple pie. And I was like, that's an interesting take. I think the golden age in the 50s and 60s is only that way. If you're probably a white male, it might have been a little more tragic for the rest of us. But even outside of that, right? The golden age of the 50s and 60s is in the middle class growing in size, which I would posit had to do a lot with our giant land and money grab at the end of World War II and making the US dollar the supreme currency around the world. Like a lot of that had to do with the golden age of capitalism. And then also there was we moved to progressive income tax where the top marginal tax rate was 90% or 91%, even under Eisenhower. I bring up Eisenhower because Trump's always like, I love Eisenhower. He loves Eisenhower because of that racist immigration policy called, I'm just going to say the opposite, Operation Dry Front. What's the opposite of dry front? Yeah, that was Eisenhower. That's why Trump likes him. But he did have a top marginal tax rate of 90%. Oh, I realize you guys can't see what I'm looking at. Give me 1 second. Okay, yeah. So I wanted to play this Robert Reich video because I think he did a great job in like 2 minutes just saying like Trump keeps talking about this golden age, right? The golden age of capitalism was the 50s and 60s when the top marginal tax rate was 90%, 90+%. But Trump's talking about, the 1890s. When Trump talks about a golden age, he's talking about the rich getting richer, the Gilded Age, and robber barons. Oh, sorry.
Donald Trump wants you to think that he's bringing back the golden age of economic prosperity of the 1950s and 1960s.
This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back, and we're going to come back very strongly.
But in reality, he's dragging us towards something else. The Gilded Age of the 1890s. Pop quiz. Which of these would you prefer? Dirty meat or meat that's safe to eat? Deadly working conditions and no weekends off? Or safe working conditions and spending time with friends on a Saturday? If you pick dirty meat and deadly working conditions, well, then the Gilded Age is the choice for you. But seriously, nobody wants this. Except apparently Donald Trump.
Our country was the strongest, believe it or not, from 1870 to 1913.
That's because the Gilded Age was dominated, both economically and politically, by a privileged elite, largely at the expense of everyone else. You want to know the main difference between Trump's Gilded Age and the prosperity of the 1950s? Worker power. During the Gilded Age, organized labor was weak, corporations were largely unregulated, and inequality was rampant. Thanks to the efforts of progressive reformers and organized labor in the first half of the 20th century, workplaces were safer, and workers gained more bargaining power. By 1954, 35% of American workers in the private sector were union members. Corporate taxes were around 50%, and the top marginal tax rate on the wealthiest Americans was 91%. In the 3 decades that followed World War II, America created the largest middle class the world had ever seen. During those years, the earnings of the typical American worker doubled. just as the size of the American economy doubled. The country, while still imperfect, shrank inequality dramatically. That is exactly what Trump and his Republican allies want to roll back. He wants the rich to be richer, unions to be weaker, and everyone else to be easier to exploit. Next time you hear him talking about how much wealthier Americans will be thanks to him, remember that he's not talking about Donald Trump wants.
I hate when I cut off the last word. He said you, which is the point. When Trump talks about this golden age, he's talking about himself, right? Narcissists are talking about themselves. He's saying everything's going to be great for me, just like it was for Rockefeller, who was robbing the rich and enriching himself, just like it was for all the robber barons back in the 1890s. Everything's going to be great for me. I'm not, Jen, I saw your post, I love you. I saw that and, I try to pay attention to detail. So I was actually during that video checking my sound mixer just in case, a ghost moved my settings or when updates were done. I don't have more than one microphone on. Are you saying you hear an echo when the video's on? I have everything is as it should be. Jen, are you hearing an echo? Is that what you're saying when the video is playing or when I speak? The echo now? Yeah, TikTok Studio is out of control. I wish I had an answer for that. I have every single, oopsies, don't turn that down. That's the mic. I'm just turning other things down on my audio mixer. Yeah, that video had a bad echo. I wish I had an answer and I just double checked both sound, like the physical one and the one on my computer. I don't know. TikTok Studio is being super weird lately. Yeah. And it's hold on. Let me check the audio mixer on TikTok just to make sure. Let me just see something. Let me play a video. I'm just going to start this again and look at the audio mixer on TikTok just
to think that he's bringing back the gold.
Oh, wait, what? Hold on. Wait, hold on one second.
The age of economic prosperity of the 1950s and 1960s.
This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back, and we're going to come back.
Is it better right there? At the end. Even at the last 5 seconds, did it still echo? Yeah, I don't know.
The paper is more sophisticated.
Even then, okay, give me one more second. Tell me right now, I'm just going to play 2 more seconds and tell me if it doesn't.
Very strongly.
But in reality, he's dragging us towards something else. The Gilded Age of the 1890s.
And I don't know, because he has sound layered on sound, so I don't know. But yeah, okay, it's definitely, I now checked TikTok Studios auto mixer, mine, and then the physical one. There's only one sound playing in each when that video is playing. So yeah, I'm not sure. But let's try it. We'll try a different video and we'll see. But I think we got the point. But yeah, he has music playing and then his sound. But if you're saying his voice is echoing, I don't know. Like I said, Matt and I couldn't use TikTok Studio yesterday and all week. I don't know what's going on. And I reopen TikTok Studio and download any updates every single day because of stuff like this. So yeah, not sure. Hopefully this won't be too much of a problem, but we'll just see how it goes, right? Because it might be a little easier when it's not music over sound. We'll check. Anyways, Robert Reich posted this 15 hours ago. This has always been, he says GOP, but I like to say conservative strategy. Cut taxes for the wealthy and corporations by claiming they'll pay for themselves, right? Which I can't say this more. It's no longer, I feel like it's all going to trickle down, or I feel like these tax cuts are going to pay for themselves. We know mathematically these tax cuts don't pay for themselves. We knew with the TCJA, we knew before that. These tax cuts do not pay for themselves. Nothing trickles down. Wages don't rise. The rich get richer. Explode the deficit, which we already did in Trump's first term with the TCJA. Explode the deficit, drive us into debt, right? Demand cuts to and then say, oh shit, we exploded the deficit. What are we going to do? And then instead of acknowledging the problem, which is we keep helping the rich and and their corporations accumulate more wealth at the top of the economy and we need to do something about that, then they say, oh shit, look at this huge deficit. Look at all this debt we're in. I guess we need to steal from the poor again. And it just goes around into the same cycle like that, as if we're all idiots. Now, MAGA, some of you, in fact, are not very smart, because if I was being robbed consistently, and that's literally, I worked in corporate America making six figures, more and more each year. I was doing great. And I mean, so like, it's not to say I can't succeed in capitalism and ignore everyone else, but the more interested I got in this, the more I looked into it, I was like, hey, the math's not mathing. And especially if you are not making, let's say, 200 grand a year or more, or what is it? It's like 360 to get a tax cut or whatever. When you factor in tariffs, like, if you're not making that much money, which MAGA, and we'll get to this, I was just looking at the most amazing study. You're not MAGA. You're not the majority of you are not college educated. You are not making a lot of money. You absolutely are the victim. You always want to be victims, MAGA. I'm telling you, you're the victim of something, of a scheme to steal from you over and over. And yet you're like, nope, what? Everything's fine. Donald Trump's going to save me. Everything's going to be fine. Keep tapping that screen. Sorry, I need to readjust a few things. It's TikTok Studio, it happened again. It keeps like getting bigger and then getting smaller. So I'm sorry. I need to figure out how to, give me 1 second. I have got to make this screen a little, I don't know what's happening. What? Now it's like the picture is so big I can't see any of the buttons I need. Whatever. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully, as long as you guys could hear me, that's a step better than yesterday. At least with Matt and I know everyone's like, hey, you guys have been talking for an hour and we only heard like every third word you said. So I guess I should just be thankful people could hear me speaking. That's a step in the right direction. Oh, by the way, I heard from Steve today. Facts still matter, just side note. He's coming back tomorrow. Just letting everyone know. So I guess, I don't know if that means he'll be doing a live on Friday, but he did text me that he's coming back tomorrow. So he is okay, and he said he's having a good time and he'll be back. I don't have any details on that, just general. No, he's coming back. He's not quite back yet. I think he's okay. I don't know. I need to talk to him. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, like, he did reach out, and I mean, hold on. He's fine. Like, let's cross our fingers. He's got to enter U.S. Customs. And that's the scariest thing as a creator at this point, or anybody. If you have any, I hope he possibly like deletes his phone. That's what I'm scared about. I tried to ask him about that, and he's like, I have to go. Or I was going to ask him about that, and he's like, I have to go. So hopefully, I think what we need to hope is he's a white man. He'll probably be fine. Okay. I'm just going to play part of this. This is like a 13-minute video. I just want to there's like 2 minutes I want to play of this. And I was going to play this earlier. I never got into this, but when I was doing that like 48-hour like tirade about Trump robbing us all with the big, beautiful bill, this was like last Wednesday night. And it was when the markets crashed because of the big, beautiful bill and because of what was included in it. And I talked about this. Like, I find it hilarious. MAGA has no idea what the 10-year and the 30-year mortgage yield, treasury yield is. So the things that drive our mortgage rates up. So I see MAGA like, look, it's going up. Trump's doing what he said he's going to do. Yeah, when the 30-year treasury yield goes up, that's bad. That means your mortgage rates are going up. So I thought I would just, let me just find.
I'm Erin Burnett.
Hold on. Let me find one part of it. I think it's like probably like a minute in, and I just want to play 2 minutes of this because I think I talked about it, but sometimes I feel like, when a woman speaks, people are like, I don't understand. So, oh yeah, this is the graph I want to talk about, the 30-year treasury yield. MAGA, when the 30-year treasury yield is going up, that's not good. That's your mortgage rates going up. But I don't want to play. I don't want to. Okay, let's see if we can do this. And then let me know in the comments if it's still echoing. I'm even going to mute my own mic, so this should be the only sound coming out of TikTok Studio.
Many of those Republican holdouts are complaining that the bill that Trump's presidency is riding on adds too much to America's debt. Nearly $4 trillion to the U.S. deficit, according to the Congressional Budget Office's formal analysis. And that number, it's massive. I mean, you don't even be like, is it relatively massive? Is it absolutely massive? It's just big, and it's too much. And it was too much for Wall Street. The Dow slid more than 800 points today. The NASDAQ and the S&P also down sharply. And the bond market flashing major warning signs. In fact, there was an auction today where they go out and basically, they say, we're going to sell some debt, and then you see who's going to buy it, and that determines the interest rate. They did that today for 20-year bonds issued by the U.S. government. It did not go well. And the interest rate that America has to pay to borrow went up across the board. So if you look at what's called the yield or the interest rate on the 30-year Treasury, up above 5%. The 10-year also was higher. These rates drive mortgage rates.
I have no idea. It has nothing to do with any of my settings. I even turning down my own. That's the only sound coming out. Here's primary speaker audio. I'm going to turn down the primary speaker a little, but yeah, I have everything muted, so not sure. But I just want to make sure we heard that. Like what I need everyone to know is that last Wednesday, right, in the midst of this big, beautiful bill insanity, we tried to sell off U.S. debt, right? And that's how we can tell like the health of our economy and whether investors believe in the U.S.'s ability to pay off our debt. Like that, this is terrifying. And people were like, yeah, vote of no confidence is what happened last Wednesday.
Arms and meeting with his own party's holdouts today. Now, many of those Republican holdouts are complaining that the bill that Trump's presidency is riding on adds too much to America's debt. Nearly $4 trillion to the U.S. deficit, according to the Congressional Budget Office's formal analysis. And that number, it's massive. I mean, you don't even need to be like, is it relatively massive? Is it absolutely massive? It's just big, and it's too much. And it was too much for Wall Street. The Dow slid more than 800 points today. The NASDAQ and the S&P also down sharply. And the bond market flashing major warning signs. In fact, there was an auction today where they go out and basically, they say, we're going to sell some debt, and then you see who's going to buy it, and that determines the interest rate. They did that today for 20-year bonds issued by the U.S. government. It did not go well. And the interest rate that America has to pay to borrow went up across the board. So if you look at what's called the yield or the interest rate on the 30-year Treasury, up above 5%. The 10-year also was higher. These rates drive mortgage rates, auto loans, credit card loans rates, all of it. And so much of this is self-inflicted by Trump because he is the one who wanted this one big, beautiful bill.
The one big, beautiful bill, as we call it. But we're talking about the great, big, beautiful bill. I said, why don't we just go with the great, big, beautiful bill? Our big, beautiful bill, as I call it, our big, beautiful bill.
No, it's big. No, it's not so beautiful. In a nod to Trump's wishes, the Republicans in Congress even named it. Okay, this is for real. They actually named it the One Big Beautiful Bill Act.
That's the point. We tried to sell off our debt. It did not go well. Everything Trump is doing, and I don't want to say this because wait, hold on. Now I can turn my own mic monitor back up since I turned it down thinking maybe that was the problem. Thank God it's not. Okay, yeah, now we're good. I figured it out. There was a small echo, I think. It was like where I'm casting from my iPad, it was set to play it to the audience, but then also monitor it, which I'm monitoring it through. That's so weird though. So TikTok Studio must have like reset that, like when I re-downloaded it. I don't know. But yeah, I figured it out. So sorry, that was my fault. Or not. Like, I didn't change it, but whatever. Anyways, what we need to know is everything Trump's doing and saying, first of all, is a lie, but is a large distraction. This is what we should be terrified of. People don't want to finance our debt. They have zero confidence in the US economy. Trump is concerned with what? I think Trump is concerned with making himself money, making other billionaires money, people that bribe him money. He does not care about the overall financial health of this country, nor does he effing understand it. And we should be very terrified about that. But yeah, I mean, that's a longer video. Oh, I did take a screenshot of this. Yes, MAGA, when the 30-year treasury yield goes up and to the right, that's bad. I literally saw someone, look at this beautiful graph up and to the right, promises made to the right, promises made to the right, promises made. I'm pausing because TikTok Studio is telling me there's a problem with you guys hearing me. So if I pause, that's what I'm doing. TikTok Studio said if I talked, no one was going to be able to hear me. It's not saying I have a bad internet connection, but this is, I think, what happened to Matt over and over yesterday when we were live. So we'll see how it goes. It might, if this doesn't work, then it's just not going to work. I don't know. We'll just play it by ear. But again, 30-year treasury yield, when it gets higher, that's auto loans, that's mortgage rates, that's all the interest rates rising in the US. Thank you for following me. Yeah, I need like 350 followers to get to 200,000. If you're not following me or you have backup accounts to follow me from on TikTok, please do. Sorry, I'm so thirsty. I ran 10 miles this morning. Oh, now we're going to really get into it. MAGA, this is for you. I've been looking for ways to try to help you out of your cognitive dissonance. So this is a great article for your like MAGA family who can't do math. I'm like literally searching around the internet. Like there's got to be easy ways to explain to them that they're being robbed. This is one of the ones I found. Most Americans don't earn enough to afford basic cost of living, analysis finds, which I was watching because I'll get into this, but I thought I would show this. I found this study through Robert Reich, and this was his comment on it, but it's much more in depth. 60% of American households can't afford a minimal quality of life. Meanwhile, the 19 richest households saw their wealth increase. Listen, let me say that again. MAGA, I want you to understand rich people aren't your friends. Stop idolizing them. Meanwhile, the 19 richest households in America saw their wealth increase by $1 trillion in 2024, the biggest one-year increase ever. Our problem isn't a lack of resources. Our problem is ever expanding inequality. I could not agree more. He said, I love running. I briskly walk. My joints don't miss me running. I played college volleyball. I'm probably won't, in like 5 years, probably won't have cartilage. So I'll enjoy running now. I can still do it. It's like just about bone on bone in my knees. So, but I don't even advocate running. I advocate walking. I think everyone just walk. Don't stress yourself out. Remain calm and walk. How do you do 10 miles in Arizona? I get up really early. I get up at 3:30 a.m., 4 a.m. and run before it's ungodly hot. Yeah, you'll die in Arizona running anywhere. You can't be outside past 9 a.m. in the summer in Arizona. Yeah, you got to be up the crack of. It was so nice at 4 a.m. this morning. Yeah, lifting is great. Gumps just sorry, I'm just answering some comments on TikTok. Gumps was saying, by the way, Gumps, thank you so much for the things you sent me off my Amazon wish list, and everyone else who did. I so appreciate it. Dennis, thank you for these headphones because one of my these headphones isn't working, so I'll be using these in a second. Wired headphones for any reason if you make content on the internet. These like gaming headphones that go over your ear are my favorite things. But then like, the more expensive, it's like they're so much better for like to connect to audio mixers. Anyways, Gumps was saying that wait, what was it? I just forgot. Oh, she started weightlifting. I agree. Weightlifting is great, like low impact. You don't have to hurt yourself. But the problem is, I was a Division 1 athlete and I was scarred for life from weightlifting. Like I was like powerlifting, which I would argue is very stupid when you play a sport where you have to use your shoulder and elbow all the time. Like I just promised myself after college, like I just like there's too much trauma. That and running stairs. Like if I see a set of stairs, I start panicking because in college, like for every minute you were late, you had to run like a stadium up of a stadium bleacher of stairs. I can't even, like, I used to love stairs were something I used to do before college. Like, I used to run my high school bleachers, and now I see stairs that I start just freaking out. I'm like, any elevation, I'm like, it's taking me back to college. I can't even think about it. Yeah, and if you play a sport like any softball, baseball, whatever, disc golf, if you're using your shoulder, powerlifting, snatching, power cleaning, why are we all doing that? I don't know. And the other reason I couldn't stand lifting, my first conditioning coach in college, I told you I went to university in Idaho, and this guy was like a devout Mormon, and I'll never forget, like, it was our first meeting with him, and he's like, I was 17 at the time because we had to, if you're a fall sport, I didn't turn 18 until like the middle of June, and we had to report to start training like the beginning of June. So I was 17, and he's like, I just want you ladies to know I understand what's important to you. And I'm like looking around because I'm not from Idaho. At that point, I did not understand what was going on in Idaho and Utah with the Mormons. I didn't know. And like girls on my team were like, yeah, like nodding their heads like they know what this man is about to say. And he's like, so don't you worry. Like, I know you guys don't really want to lift, which I wish that was true because I agree. I don't think we should have been lifting heavy weights, especially not with our right shoulders. Well, but I mean, he's like, I know you guys are worried that if you power lift, you're going to get bulky and then you're going to find yourself at 21 unmarried. And I was like, what the is going on in this meeting? He was serious. He was like, I know if you might bulk up too much and then no one's going to want you and you'll be 21, unmarried, and and then life has passed you by. And I was like, I don't feel that way. And other girls on my team, like the Mormons, because I'll say this, if you don't know anything about Mormons, a lot of their DNA is Scandinavian, right? They're like, so they're tall, beautiful, by the way, and actually very, very athletic. There's a lot of super athletic Mormons. Like for white people, Mormons are coordinated and they're very good at volleyball. That's why like BYU men's volleyball team is one of the best in the country every year. But quite literally, that's what he said. He was like, you don't want to be 21 and unmarried and washed up and no one wants you. I was like, that's exactly what I'm shooting for. Can I have the weightlifting program for the people that do not want to be married at 21 or have any children? What the is going on? Anyways, I could talk to you about my days of college athletics all the time. I will reset the gift goal right now. Thank you for reminding. Wait, which Oh, I see what you're saying. Sorry. And I was thinking the other one. Give me 1 second. I forgot. You have to start out now with 5 at the beginning of gift goals. So I have to change it sooner. Oh, there's so many new gifts. What is happening? TikTok Studio. Every day it's new. All the order of gifts have changed. I'm as someone who's used to things remaining the same. Oh, I can't wait to tell you. Sorry, I just saw an email come in from Midas Touch, like a news update. It's like the disastrous press. Isn't every day of Trump's presidency just another disastrous press conference? He was a disaster today. Okay, so again, just to remind you of where we are talking about this. Oh, sorry, I just remembered something. It's a long story, but I'm in the wrong place for this. Yeah, I went to the wrong section of the... Can you guys see? Okay. Sorry, I went to the wrong section of the live. Yeah. Okay. So again, the gap between, so I'm talking, this is a study I found for MAGA whose brains, it's hard for them to understand complex things. So I was looking for a super easy, thank you. And I have never seen that gift in my life. That was an amazing one. I love these little characters that are on TikTok now. And so anyways, we're talking about minimum quality of life, right? And I talk about this all the time. And I got to tell you some of the things I've read on X today about this. So this is from the Ludwig Institute for Shared Economic Prosperity. Looks beyond whether people can afford daily necessities like food, shelter, to consider whether they have means to pay for things like technology tools necessary for their jobs, higher education, and health and childcare. And by the way, like I had to listen to MAGA be like, they're talking about, they think people need to go to 2 MLB baseball games a year. Yeah, like tickets in the nosebleed seats that cost like $20. You don't have it. And this is how MAGA is. They're like, no, that's a luxury no one needs. You don't get it. They're saying, $40 a year for entertainment. Do you understand what I'm saying? And MAGA's like, nobody needs to go to baseball games. You don't have to go to a baseball game. They're allotting $40 a year for some sort of entertainment. And MAGA's like, that's ridiculous. That's great news, MAGA. Because I've seen all of these studies that say you want to bring manufacturing back, but you don't want to be the slave workers in the factories. But then when a basic study comes out about minimal quality of life, then you're like, nobody needs $40 a year of entertainment. Well, great for you that you can get on in that factory and never come back out. When they bring the Apple factories back, because you know how the Apple, and this is real. This is not something I'm saying sarcastically. You know how the Apple factories work in China, right? Like people are trying to throw themselves out of the windows and there are nets to catch the people so they can't unalive themselves. That's how miserable they are. So when the iPhone factories come back, MAGA, you people who underneath this study wrote like nobody's kids need to go to 2 baseball games a year. Like then make sure you're the first in line to get in those Apple factories. And when you try to unalive yourself, because there's no other way you could see making it through another day but to not be here, don't worry, the nets will catch you. It'll be great. Literally, that's what I've been reading all morning. So again, it's from the Ludwig Institute for Economic Prosperity. It looks beyond whether people can afford daily, and these are the most basic things like minimal food and shelter, to consider whether they have the means for things to pay for technology tools. I also heard MAGA in the comments being like, nobody needs the internet. You cannot live without the internet. You are literally below poverty. There is no upward mobility for a human being without access to the internet. And if you don't know that, then live without the internet. Try to apply for a job without the internet. Try to do anything in your life with no access to the internet. That's why basic internet infrastructure was one of the main things for the, Inflation Reduction Act, right? For wiring rural areas for high-speed internet. Because without internet, you cannot function any longer. Thank you so much for the gifts. I appreciate it in society. And I have to listen to MAGA and be like, who needs the internet? Well, try to live without it. You don't then. To pay for things like technology, tools necessary for their jobs, higher education, and healthcare and childcare. And believe me, I've looked at this study. It is the bare effing minimum. So LISA tracks costs associated with what the research firm calls a basket of American dream essentials. The group says its minimal quality of life index provides a truer picture of how Americans are faring than standard economic data such as the nation's gross domestic product. Now, it's like people are like, I read this article and looked at this study, and then they say something idiotic. Okay, if you read this article and looked at the study, and then your response underneath it is to be like, here's the average gross domestic product, America's number one. No. Billionaires, the top 1%, the 0.0, there are people accumulating wealth at the top of the economy. It is not us. That's why they're saying, stop saying America's number one. You're not number one. You don't have health care. You're one illness away from bankruptcy, yelling you're number one. It's embarrassing, MAGA. Just be quiet and think about what we're saying. Americans are faring than standard. It provides a truer picture of how Americans are faring than standard economic data such as GDP and jobless rate. The index captures the annual change in the typical costs facing low and moderate income households who are looking to maintain the most basic quality of life. Mag is like, how dare kids need $40 for entertainment? I don't have a child. I just was a teacher. Do you understand what it costs? It costs more than $40 a week to entertain a child and I'm saying that's nothing. This is a quote from the study. We analyze these components not just in terms of financial figures, but as crucial elements that shape a family's capability to achieve a desirable standard of living. And I can show you the methodology in a second. The findings for the bottom 60%, that's all of us, of U.S. households, a minimal quality of life is out of reach. Minimal. Again, this isn't exorbitant or maximum. Minimal quality of life is out of reach. According to the group, a research organization focused on improving low earners' economic well-being. The middle class has been declining. We just haven't recognized it fully. Well, who hasn't? I have. It's really dangerous because it's the kind of thing that leads to social unrest, to things like French Revolution, the sequel. And it's not fair. The American dream is not that it's given to you. It's that if you work hard, you have a chance to get ahead and achieve the things in life that you want to achieve. It's not living in a tent, and it's not having to steal. The Ludwig Institute also says that the nation's official unemployment rate of 4.2% greatly understates the level of economic distress around the U.S., factoring in workers who are stuck in poverty-wage jobs and people who are unable to find full-time employment. The U.S. jobless rate now tops 24%, according to LICEP, which defines these groups as functionally unemployed, which is true, right? There are many jobs you can have in the US and you can work, but are you making enough to live? Are you making enough to have an apartment? Are you making enough to provide for a child? Absolutely not. And for some reason, this is how I know when something is really true. It's because MAGA can't explain why. It's infuriating to them, right? Why? Because every demographic that this study is talking about is you, MAGA? Is that why it's so upsetting? Because this is literally your life? And for some reason, being faced with it makes them more angry and want to be in more denial. Like, if anything, you should be like, oh, someone sees me, someone's getting it. Like, I'm working 3 jobs and I still can't take care of my kids. Like, that is the conversation we should be having, especially when Trump's talking about returning to a golden age, right? None of us should want to go back, like Robert Reich was saying. None of us should want to go back to the 1890s when we had no workers' rights. There was no weekend. Understand that. The weekend was created through protests, unions, and strikes for labor rights. Do you want to go back to when there was no weekend? I don't. Peering beneath the surface. So by those standards, the lowest earning Americans around the U.S. are falling well short of what they need to maintain a decent standard of living. According to LICEP, these households, which in 2023 earned an average of $38,000 per year, 30. So picture 2023. We're talking about households. Ed Bag is like, nobody needs to take their kids, spend $40 on entertainment. These households, which in 2023 earned an average of $38,000 per year, would need to make $67,000, which I think sounds very accurate. Like in my experience of living in American society, that sounds pretty accurate to me. Would need to make $67,000 to afford the items the group tracks as part of its index, which also includes the cost of professional clothing. This is something that I run into, and basic leisure activities. Maga, you don't need clothes to wear to work. I can tell you, I always talk about this. 4.5 years ago, almost 5 years ago in August, I almost died, right? I started making content on the internet, and you know what, I was literally bullied about my appearance, the clothes I wore, until I changed it all. Right? It's not because I didn't like clothes, but I'd almost died. I really hadn't been outside. I hadn't bought clothes in years. I had been, and so what I'm saying, like, if you've never had a job that is, client facing, as we call it in advertising sales or whatever, you have to look a certain way or you cannot succeed in America. Right? And I want people to imagine for Black women, right? If we know that there's hair discrimination, right? You have to look a certain way. You have to have this westernized, idealist type of beauty, or you won't get hired. Just for having an unfamiliar sounding name, you cannot get hired. Like the amount of work, right? When you're a minority, it takes to look Western civilization white and appropriate for the workforce. That's a lot of money to spend. Right? Do you understand what Black women spend on hair care, on like all the things it takes to meet the westernized standard of beauty? I think it's a complete privilege for MAGA to be like, what clothes don't cost that much? Go to the Goodwill. No, like that is a delusional thing to say. And it was a man who said this that really drove me crazy. Do you understand what it costs a woman? Just let's say we're supposed to be hairless like a 12-year-old child. Do you know what it just costs a woman a year for hair removal? Why don't you look up any of this stuff? Why don't you look into, by the westernized standards of female beauty, how much it costs a woman to meet those standards? Then on top of that, not just have clothes in regular life, but have the appropriate clothes for whatever job it is. Oh, I love thrifting. I'm not saying don't buy clothes at the thrift store. I also thrift as well, but I'm saying there are certain clothes required for work, right? That even when I was working in advertising and I was wildly successful, I could still always tell, like, I can't afford the clothes I need to look the way I should. Yeah. And I'm just making points that what it costs to keep up is ridiculous in this economy. I read this right, yeah. From 2001 to 2023, the cost of affording what amounts to a basic level of economic security doubled. So that's 22 years, it doubled. Housing and healthcare costs surged, while the amount of savings required to attend an in-state public university soared by 122%. Like, so if you're thinking like, yeah, I can't even, yeah, you're not crazy. This is the reality. Sending a kid to college is out of reach. Meanwhile, median earnings for the bottom 60% of income earners fell 4%. Remember the trickle down? If we gave rich people everything they asked for, which we have, just cut their taxes over and over, it would trickle down. Then explain to me from 2001 to 2023 why median earnings for the bottom 60% of income earners fell 4% over that span, while costs skyrocketed. It's crazy to read this stuff over that span when adjusting for the cost of goods tracked by the group's index. According to LISUP, income growth for these households has also lagged, rising 0.37% per year during the same period, less than half as much as the top 40% of earners, the group found. Shocking. Yeah. Income, wages lagged. I think that's probably all of our experience. The gap between how much low low-income families earn and how much they need to afford a minimum cost of living is expected to keep widening. Shocking. Unfortunately, it is growing because the items that go into the basket of goods and services that make the minimal quality of life are inflating at a higher rate than wages are inflating. This has been a problem since the 90s. Wages are not increased, but I thought if we just gave billionaires and corporations everything they asked for, that they would increase wages. What's happening? Oh, they're liars. Yeah, I mean, and this is the study which I'll find this when I start the next video. I have the link to the study and I'll put it in the Discord and send it to everyone. By the way, if you're not in the Discord, please join. That way, when I send these things, or you can screenshot this. It's LICEP, L-I-C. Ew. What? I'm spelling lice. LISEP. Minimal quality of life study. You could type that in and find it. I'm going to find my link to the study. Yeah, I just found it. And I will send it to everyone in the Discord in a second. I'm just pulling it up. Okay. And so again, this is the actual screenshot I took from the study. From 2001 to 2023, the cost of basic economic security doubled, rising 99.5% to 38% faster than the consumer price index rose over that same period. So they're saying the cost of basic economic security has risen. I'm sorry, my brain is sad right now. It's risen 99.5%, right? That's 38% faster than the consumer price index rose over the same period. That's scary. These are just I just took these screenshots. I should pull up the study. Increase in the cost of living from 2022 to 2023. It increased by 8.6% in 1 year from 2022 to 2023. Decrease in spending power in the same period, negative 3.6%. So again, the cost of living went up 8.6% from 2022 to 2023, and we lost 3.6% in spending power. And I have to be gaslit by MAGA, this is you, by the way. If you look up the methodology of this study, this is you, MAGA. This is what's happening to you and your households. And then you're like, stop crying. I'm sorry. I'm going to send it to everyone, right? I'm just copying the link. I'll send it to everyone right now in the Discord. But it is fascinating to look at this breakdown too. Single with no children. This is minimum quality of life. If you're single with no children, they're saying 44,737. Single with one child, 77,894. And again, this is minimum. So just bare minimum you can survive on it. Because think about that. Single with one child, 77,894. And MAGA's like, too many luxuries. Like, who in the F can have a child and spend 77,894? No one. That's who. Absolutely no one. I just thought this was a great way. I know, MAGA, you can't read and you're not going to be able to figure it out, but I do suggest at some point you look into how you're being robbed. Okay, I'm just sending this really quick before I move on and forget. To everyone in the Discord. So it will either be in the general chat or it will be in that's a weird link. Oh, that was like some sort of tracking. Okay, yeah, it populated. I sent it to everyone in the Discord or it's in the general chat. Join the Discord, whether you're watching from Twitch, YouTube, X, whatever. There's a link in my bio to join the Discord. Don't copy and paste the link into a browser and it will work. It's just, I change it every week, and then every week I get messages of people saying, this is a bot, or it thinks I'm a bot and it's not working. So just put it in the browser and then it works. I checked it earlier today. Jen, thank you for the $20 on Venmo. I appreciate you so, so much. If you've never watched the People's Receipts before, all the research I do, the studies I show you guys, all of that, I rely on your tips and donations, whether you subscribe. This is our sub goal. As always, I'm trying to get back to 500 subs. That yellow star in the bottom left-hand corner is the subscription. If you would like to buy a sub or buy subs for other people, it's the yellow star in the left-hand corner, or you can always gift. And more importantly, since TikTok takes a percentage of everything, if you would like, this is my Cash App and Venmo, both just like my TikTok name. And if you're not following me on TikTok, also please do that now. I need to start adding my backup account too. I have a million things to do that I just keep forgetting. Anyways, Chris Murphy was on Actually, I don't know what day this was. He posted it yesterday, but I'm thinking about it. And maybe it was yesterday. But Chris Murphy was on Chris Hayes' show again, talking about the big, beautiful lie.
It does highlight just the audacity here of how many people are going to take it on the nose.
Yeah, and so what happens when 15 million people lose their health care? The impact is not just on those families. The impact ultimately, is on a lot of facilities, a lot of hospitals and healthcare clinics and drug treatment centers that ultimately don't have customers and clients any longer and can't keep their doors open. They get the $880 billion worth of savings, not just by kicking people off of healthcare, but also by reducing the reimbursement rates to states. So through all of those different means by which they're just spending less money on Medicaid, they're ultimately going to close a lot of rural hospitals, a lot of drug and addiction treatment centers, and even for people who are left with insurance, if their Medicaid, didn't get blown up, or if they're on private healthcare insurance, they're just going to have a lot fewer choices because you can't suck that amount of money out of the healthcare system and not have it result in fewer beds, fewer doctors, fewer hospitals.
Exactly. And that's the point. And when all these services for the minimum quality of life that people have used, to have some extra grocery to feed their kids or to take their kids to the doctor are gone, what happens at that point? Here, I want to pull up really quick. I sent it to myself because I wanted to show you guys one other, because I didn't take screenshots of everything. Let me just pull this up really quick so I can show you. I'm pulling up that study because I remembered. I wanted to show you all something. Here we go. Sorry, this is just the study. Again, I sent it to everyone in the Discord. If you want to look it up, it's at LISEP, LISEP.org, Minimal Quality of Life Study. But this is, you can see, that's the screenshot I took at the beginning. I wanted to show, look at this. Couple with 3 children. Imagine, so you are a 5-person household, 2 adults, 3 children. They're saying for the minimum quality of life, you need $130,672. Who can raise 3 children and pay for 2 adults to be housed, fed, clothed, all the things? That's what I'm saying. And I have to I'm reading comments of MAGA being like, this is excessive. No one needs this much money. Tell me without telling me you read none of this. That is insane. Nobody can live off this. Change in median worker spending power. Look how spending power since 2022 to 2023 has dropped. This is not all in our heads. Change in true weekly earnings adjusted by the increase in minimum quality of life versus headline inflation. See it dropping off? Change in the cost of essentials. These are now the price of goods. Medical premiums, medical expenses. Look how they've exorbitantly went up. Holiday dinner. Back is like, nobody needs food on the holiday. These are the items. They're toys for children, apparel, transportation, televisions, holiday dinner, groceries, personal care items, weekend leisure, childcare, necessary college savings, rent, TLC technology, eating out, household supplies, travel expenses, medical premiums. This is how it's factoring the minimum quality of life. I do suggest there's different ways you can manipulate the study and make it it more relevant to you. And it's super interesting. Like, I think the best thing we can do for all of our absolutely clueless MAGA family is explaining to them that they are being robbed. Like, oh, don't worry. Trump just got into office. He's going to do the right thing. Well, he's done the right thing by him and other billionaires. Like, this is exactly the same pattern of his first term times like 1,000. He did this same thing, enriched himself, enriched other rich people, hung the rest of us out to dry. The whole time MAG is like, oh, he cares about us. And then, because the economy doesn't turn on a dime, right? Like, then they blame the Democrats who fixed the economy. You know who made the deficit smaller? Joe Biden. That's who. Even inheriting the COVID mess, inheriting Trump blowing out the deficit. I'm talking about pre-COVID, spending more than any president. He spent $8.4 trillion. Joe Biden corrected all that just in time for you guys to blame him for Trump's mess. He corrects it all, hands off a robust economy that's the envy of the G7, just in time for Trump to convince you it's all Biden's fault again. It's so embarrassing to be in this country. Truly. Learn to do math. You can't even correctly identify who's robbing you. Maybe that's why so many people in this country are convicted of crimes they didn't commit. Like, MAGA has no idea what's going on. Quite literally, zero idea. Sorry, I have been looking at a lot of things this morning that are driving me insane. Okay, and I just want to remind you now again, Justin Wolfers, who's an economist I really like. He's a professor at the University of Michigan. I just want to remind you, and I've talked about it too, this bill is the largest transfer of wealth in one bill in American history. And spoiler alert, that wealth isn't trickling down. It's shooting straight to the top of the economy. And I just want to say, MAGA, your idiocy, just because you can't figure out who's robbing you, that you're still being robbed by the same people every time. Hiding, denying reality doesn't mean that billionaires aren't robbing you. It just means you're the idiot that can't figure it out.
Nicole, I want to highlight one really important part of the current budget discussion. So you're talking right now about this very important issue, which is how much we spend versus we tax. That's the budget deficit. There's also a Robin Hood aspect. How much do we take from who and what do we give to who? This is the anti-Robin Hood. This is, according to one of my favorite budget wonks, Bobby Kogan, he said this is the largest redistribution from poor to rich in American history. So if you're okay with those at the bottom end of the income distribution getting by with less because you think it's important that those at the very top end get tax cuts and therefore have more resources to get by, that's fine by you. But for those of us with a heart, honestly, it breaks our hearts a little bit.
And that's true too. He's like, I make enough to survive and I'm sad. Like, the people that really scare me are MAGA. You are these people who are being robbed. I mean, I'm one of them too, but you're one of these people and you're like, it's not happening, or no, Joe Biden did it. No, that's not what's happening. This policy, the TCJA robbed you. This and quite honestly, this policy, which when I say policy, I mean the triple threat, the tariffs, the blanket tariffs, the big beautiful bill, and Trump's executive orders have effed us all. Period. While you guys are like, no, that's not true. He wouldn't do that. He absolutely did do it. Amber, thank you so much for the $10 on Cash Apps. He said the education you provide is priceless. I think that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Thank you, Amber. And this is Sunday. Here comes Mikey J, which he may as well not exist. The Speaker of the House is so far up Trump's A that he has no idea what's going on. And I just want to, before you hear him say this, the Congressional Budget Office right? This is the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. Their only job is to take the 1,000 pages of legislation that are handed to them and analyze what is the consequences of these, right? We're going to do some math and say, okay, this is the budget, this is the tax policy, here's the results of that.
Important here, too, to point out, Shannon, is that some of the estimates, for example, by the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, are wildly inaccurate. They're assuming an historically low growth rate in the economy. The elements of the big, beautiful bill, the reason we're so excited is because it will be jet fuel to the U.S. economy. This is going to foster a pro-growth economy again, to get job creators and entrepreneurs and risk takers moving again, expanding their businesses, adding more jobs. Wages will go up. We'll have more manufacturing in the U.S. because of all the policies that we put into this legislation. It's a long time coming. And remember, not theoretical. We did this before. In the first Trump administration, we brought in the greatest economy in the history of the world, not just the U.S.
It's a unequivocal lie. I love that. I mean, what the are you talking about? When did that happen? Mathematically, I can help you. It didn't. It did not happen. And this is why so many MAGA people just confidently show up to debate on TikTok, having no knowledge of the actual economy. Just be like, well, I heard some idiot say, and actually, I don't think Mike Johnson's an idiot. I just want to say that. I think he's a liar. I think he knows that did not happen.
After just those first 2 years, because we cut taxes and cut regulations, we're doing it again and on steroids this time. Let me ask. Important here, too.
Oh, yeah, he knows. He's disgusting. He just doesn't want to be yelled at by Daddy Trump. And this is just a comment that was underneath because, I shouldn't look at so many comments on X. It's really unhealthy for me, but I did. And there's all these people being like, Trump did amazing his first term. If you think that, you're not right. I can help you mathematically, factually, you're not right. You just heard Donald Trump claim. Thank you for the sucker. That's amazing. I love a sucker. You and MAGA, you're just a sucker. That's a great transition. You are a sucker if you believe that Trump did something for you or helped our economy in his first term. He spent, blew out the deficit. I'm talking about before COVID. And that's why you don't do shit like that, is because of things like unpredictable worldwide pandemics. That's exactly why. But this guy is Heavenly Father, that's a funny name. We brought in the greatest economy in the history of the world. He's quoting Trump, and he's saying Shannon Bream was we brought in the greatest economy in the world. That was what Mike Johnson said. Then Shannon Bream's like, right, it's true. Yeah, that was never true. And he's saying in parentheses, they didn't. It wasn't even close. Trump forced manufacturing contraction. That's true. I've showed that many times. And not just contraction in manufacturing in the U.S., contraction in manufacturing jobs in the U.S. And shrunk GDP growth to 2.4% before the pandemic. The trade, I love because I don't think I understand economics, and I know trade deficits mean nothing in the U.S. But the trade deficit was up to 36%. It was much higher than in Obama's terms. I was just reading that. Ooh, puzzle piece. Give me 1 second so I can see again. Okay, good. After promising 6%, I just thought this was funny. This is Trump.
So we're
at
3.3% GDP. I see no reason why we don't go to 4, 5, and even 6%. And I don't want to go beyond that because then I'll be criticized if we don't hit it.
Yeah. Okay. So in Trump's first term, I can help you. We were never at 3.3 GDP growth. So this is Donald Trump, pathological liar, can't even tell the truth about GDP growth where he was at. And then saying, oh, I better not go higher than 3, 4, 5% because I'll be criticized if I don't hit it. You didn't even hit the first number. You were never, during your presidency, at 3.3% GDP growth. And just to prove that, because the MAGA can't look up anything, I just went ahead and looked. 2017, 2.46%. 2018, 2.9%. 2019, 2.47%. Oh, 2020, negative 2.1%. And now, did anyone see at any point in these slides where Trump had 3.3% GDP growth? Why do you guys follow a pathological liar? It is super embarrassing for you. Not one word this man says is true. You can easily Google it and find out that he's lying constantly. 3.3% growth in what world? No world that exists did Trump ever do that. And then Mike Johnson was driving me insane on Sunday. He is awful. This is another clip that was bothering me. Oh, wait, I need to find my clip. I have it. I just didn't add it to the presentation. Give me 1 second. Tap the screen. We're almost at 200K. Thank you guys so much. What am I looking at? Sorry, I'm just realizing what is happening to my, okay, I'm gonna just skip that clip because I had to do a bunch of updates and I don't think I either have to cast from my iPhone and I don't feel like doing that. So I'm just going to skip that clip. But the point is in that clip, well, the funny thing is, he's I always say her name wrong. Margaret Brennan was saying like, hey, the people that are going to lose, 200,000 people in Louisiana are going to lose Medicaid. And Mike Johnson is saying, well, $11 billion in SNAP payments. I'm trying to remember the right word he used because I looked this up and because I was like, I'm going to find the report he's quoting because I was like, hold on, I'm going to look at the report because I don't want to read it wrong. Because I'm trying to remember the word before I say it wrong. He said, yeah, okay, so we're erroneous, which I thought was a weird word. So I was like, what is Mike Johnson talking about when he says $11 billion SNAP payments are erroneous? And how would that have anything to do with taking, first of all, we know of the 13.7 million people over 10 years who will be kicked off Medicaid, they're not undocumented immigrants. These are American citizens. We know the majority are elderly, our children, and our mothers. So what is he talking about erroneous SNAP payments? I did find what he was talking about. Again, this is a government accounting office report. The inspector generals that Trump fired that, Biden had done. Thanks, Joe Biden, right? But nothing. I just want to be clear. When he's like, oh, there was $11 billion in erroneous SNAP payments, as if the big, beautiful bill in any way will correct that. Not one thing that has to do with that $11 billion in erroneous SNAP payments will be corrected by the big, beautiful bill. None of it. This was an inspector general report that Biden requested, as usual, from the government accounting office that was asking for ways they could streamline government, like federal programs, federal security, and make sure we're sending the correct amount of SNAP money to the correct people, right? And it's a 16-page report, super easy to understand. And just to be clear, none of that fraud is going to be corrected by them robbing children, mothers, and the elderly from SNAP payments. In case anyone thought otherwise. You can read why this matters, key takeaways. This is how we streamline the government and create checks and balances, right? None of that is being done in the big, beautiful bill. I just took some screenshots of all of this. They talk about overlaying checks and balances, and Mike Johnson acts like something he is doing is going to help that. It is not. He's a liar. Now, I find this fascinating because before Elon Musk crashed another rocket at taxpayers' expense. Oh my God, sorry. I just saw a text from someone. Sorry. Now I realize why there's no one in here. I was just seeing it. I just saw a crazy text. I don't know if anyone saw this, and if you're like, what the F does his shirt say? Elon Musk yesterday was saying Occupy Mars, right? This is before his launch. He was doing a bunch of PR and press before the stupid rocket crashed. Anyways, this is what he said. And I don't know. I get the impression maybe this full interview is going to air this Sunday, and we haven't even seen how much BS he said because there's just this 30-second clip that everyone is sending around and is like, what the F? And I'll give you, I think this is because Tesla sales are tanking. I mean, worldwide sales are down. His life is falling apart. His rocket crashed yesterday. Trump is turning his back on him. So Elmo is freaking out and sort of trying to throw Trump under the bus. Watching two narcissists trying to blame each other for their lies and failures is absolutely fascinating. But this is the clip. And I assume the full interview is going to come out like on Sunday. Wait, what is happening? Oh, I remember now. Here it is.
So, I was like disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly, which increases the budget deficit, not just decrease it, and undermines the work that the Doge team is doing.
I actually thought that when this big, beautiful bill came along. I mean, like, everything he's done on Doge gets wiped out in the first year.
I think a bill can be big or it can be beautiful, but I don't know if it can be both. My personal opinion.
Don't know what he's talking about when he's saying that Doge has done something. We know they've saved no money. Trump has spent $200 billion more in his first 100 days than Biden. Like, I just pulled up doge.muskwatch.com. Claimed cut. It's the same thing it's been for the last month. 165 billion in claimed cuts, which we know are lies. Itemized cuts, 69.3 billion. Verified canceled funding, 16.3 billion. It's been this way for weeks. He hasn't saved anything, so he is lying. I don't know why a CBS reporter is helping him lie when we know that all of this is just smoke and mirrors, that has cost us more money, right? In employment lawsuits and all sorts of things, we are paying more money. He just created a mess, stole a bunch of data, and left. And this Washington Post article, yeah, I did screenshot some of it, is fascinating. So you could see him in his stupid Occupy Mars shirt there. And he's talking about how he's a victim back at SpaceX. This is before his rocket crashed. Musk says in interview, Doge became DC's whipping boy. Like, watching malignant narcissists then play victim is the most fascinating thing. I don't even suggest reading this article, but it's him being like, everyone in Washington's corrupt but me. I was doing the best things and I just got blamed for everything wrong, which I do think a lot of other people are corrupt, like Donald Trump. This is some quote. The federal bureaucracy situation is much worse than I realized, he said. I thought there were problems, but it sure is an uphill battle trying to improve things in DC, to say the least. He said repercussions over Doge cuts had been severe. Doge is just becoming the whipping boy in everything. I can't explain to you how, if malignant narcissists cannot be the aggressor, if they cannot be the one doing the whipping, then they just revert to, I'm a victim. I don't know what happened. I stole a bunch of data. I told a bunch of lies. I did nothing of any value for the American people. And I'm a victim. So, like, something bad would happen anywhere and we would get blamed for it, even if we had nothing to do with it. He also expressed dismay over the reputational hit his companies took. People were burning Teslas. Why would you do that? That's really uncool. Anyways, then his precious spaceship exploded yesterday, which, I mean, this is the third time in a row we are spending our tax dollars for this weirdo to explode spaceships. Like, that's why it's not funny. SpaceX saw its Starship system explode on Tuesday in a test flight. The third consecutive setback for Elon Musk's rocket maker. The Starship system was developed to transport people and equipment around Earth and to the moon and someday to Mars. Completely effing unnecessary. I just showed you we can't meet minimal quality of life. No one can go to the doctor. There's no housing in the US. But the richest man in the world gets to crash spaceships over and over with our tax dollars. And I have to listen to MAGA say, that's important. It is not important. Like, the FAA said in a statement there were no reports of public injury. Oh, I guess no pieces of this rocket we all had to pay for fell on top of anyone and unalived them. Cool. Awesome. SpaceX's super heavy boosters are. Oh, wait, I don't want to read all this. You can watch the launch. I actually watched the recording of it. It's quite annoying. Actually, I think I have I found these clips funny of when Anderson Cooper was talking about the rocket blowing up.
On the SpaceX launch, I just want to show you, this is a live image of the SpaceX rocket. They have lost control of it in space. It is now rolling, we are told. That is what the image we are seeing. It's not expected to survive re-entry.
Awesome. So glad we spent millions or billions on that rocket. Then I love how this account, Blue Georgia, posted this. The MAGA board got their script. It's a test flight. We don't need to go to Mars. Stop. And honestly, if we do need to go to Mars, I want actual scientists to get us there. Sleeping your way through a 4-year physics degree, an undergrad degree, and then us having to give all our tax dollars to this wacko who just wasted all our time with Doge. Yeah, not here for it. I love this. Rapid unscheduled disassembly. I like that's what
it's experienced a rapid unscheduled disassembly. That's how it's being described, which is technical talk for it broke apart as it re-entered Earth's atmosphere.
Rapid yet again. And by the way, take 3 of rapid unscheduled disassembly. Like, we are in hell. I'm not going to play this video because it's super long. Oh, and this is the funniest part. So Reuters reports. This is why Elon Musk's doing this weird stuff and trying to be like, I'm just the guy taking us to Mars. We don't want you to do that either. You're the richest man in the world. If you want to make rockets and explode them, you can do that with your own money. We don't value you because you're wasting our money with rockets either. But I found, this is from Reuters. Reuters reports that despite overall electric vehicle sales are up 27.8% in Europe in April, Tesla sales fell an astonishing 49%. It was the 4th straight month that Tesla sales have fallen in Europe. Tesla's European market share is now down to 0.7%. And it was up, I think it was at like 1.3% at one point. Like, his life is over. And now he's like, look, I'm the fun rocket guy. You're not a rocket scientist. Some of us know you never even got a master's degree. You're just some weirdo who is pretending to be one and wasting all of our money. Like, you can, if you want to launch rockets, do it with your own money. Jeff Bezos does. I mean, God, probably not. We're probably paying for that too. And if anyone's interested in reading that article, this is the Reuters article I was talking about Elon Musk's hard times in the European market. His life is failing. I'm not going to read it all, but yeah. I just took a screenshot of this as well because I thought it's interesting for people to know. The median age of the first-time home buyer is spiking. Look at this. It was at 30. It's now almost to 40. So if Gen Z, Trump saying you guys are lazy and you're all living in your parents' basement, yeah, because you can't afford to buy a home until you're 40 years old. Like, where else the F are you going to live? Are you going to be a homeless person in a tent? Like, I feel like we're living in a nightmare. This is the other thing I talked about. Trump has repealed all of Biden's policies on student debt forgiveness. This is from the Washington Post. Credit scores are plunging for millions now that the Trump administration has resumed collection on defaulted student loan payments. Countless borrowers are suddenly rejected for car and housing loans. New York Times on the credit scores. This is the start of something big, and we need to pay attention. Rejection rates are rising for loans and financing. That's mortgage refinancing. Look at the pink line, how it went down and then shoots straight back up. Credit card limit increase, skyrocketing credit card qualifications in general, and auto loans. This is all because of Donald Trump. And this makes sense. If you're trying to establish like an authoritarian control of a country, take away people's buying power, ruin people's credit scores. This is a great way to clamp down on power. Like, I mean, yeah, this is like the authoritarian playbook revisited. Keep tapping that screen. If everyone could share the live with a few people, when I say share the live, that arrow to the right in the bottom right hand corner, tap the screen, share the live, push the copy link button if you don't have anyone to share it with, and that will count. We can be found on the For You page faster. Sorry, oh my god. Oh, sorry. I need to switch. Sorry, I got a notification for TikTok. Something is wrong. Give me 1 second. I was monitoring this live on my backup account, and it's telling me let me switch accounts. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I never told you guys. I did get kicked out of the. Remember I told you I had to write an appeal about the creator program for getting paid for posting? Yeah, I was kicked out of that. Sorry, I just got another email from TikTok about that. But I thought I was done. Payout couldn't. I don't know what's going on. I'll figure it out later. Okay. Kevin Hassett is on my last nerve. Like, these people are pretending to be like White House economists who've never done anything for the economy or set a real number in their lives so far. Trump's economic advisor, Kevin Hassett. Trump is now threatening, if you don't know, Trump is threatening Apple directly, basically, with a 25% tariff on iPhones unless they are made in the US. Everybody is trying to make it seem like it's a catastrophe. If there's a tiny little tariff on them right now, this is what Trump's guy, Kevin Hassett, said. A 25% tariff. We're no longer tariffing countries. He's punishing companies directly. There's a tiny little tariff on them right now to try to negotiate down the tariffs. In the end, we'll see what happens. We'll see what the update is, but we don't want to harm Apple. It's like we're in a nightmare. Literally an actual nightmare. CNBC says, what is Tim Cook supposed to do? Hassett. They need to move their stuff onshore as much as possible to make it so that the U.S. economy is secure and not prone to Chinese extortion. You've got to be kidding. Do you understand? Let's say Apple was going to move all their factories here and MAGA was going to work in them for free. That would take Trump won't be alive by the time that happens. But he'll F up all of our lives now. Like, this is the most ridiculous thing. Again, he's no longer fighting with countries. He's threatening companies, U.S. companies. And I can never say, I don't know how to say his name, Surowiecki, who's the former financial editor for The New Yorker. He's a genius. Trump threatened Apple with a company-specific tariff because it's going to make iPhones in India, not China, right? Are we supposed to be worried about Indian extortion too? Yeah. Well, ask Trump. He's out of his mind. And then there's Trump just continuing to grift. Trump Media, who's controlling shareholders Trump, has entered into deals with about 50 large investors that will raise $2.5 billion for the company through both stock and debt. The company plans to use the funds to create a Bitcoin treasury, a move that further deepens the footprint of the president's business empire in the $3.5 trillion cryptocurrency market. I can't stand Devin Nunes. I'm not even reading this. And here's the best part. Eric Creepy Adams, the mayor of New York City, who definitely committed crimes and was pardoned for them by Trump, or Trump made that investigation go away. Mayor Eric Adams is expected to head to Las Vegas for a massive Bitcoin summit where President Trump is slated to speak. Also expected to attend VP JD Vance, Trump's son's Fed crypto czar David Sachs, who works for Trump, a billionaire that works for Trump. Cool. Oh, and I don't know if you saw Trump crying about Canada and our Golden Dome system, but I thought I would update you on that. He also posted this about Canada. This is a random True Social post from yesterday. Quote, "I told Canada, which very much wants to be part of our fabulous Golden Dome system, that," no, they don't, "that it will cost them $61 billion if they remain a separate but equal nation, but will cost $0 if they become our cherished 51st state. They are considering the offer." And this is Ron Filipkowski who wrote this analysis, by the way, for Midas Touch. And he's saying, "Since I speak fluent Trump, let me explain this," which I couldn't agree more. Trump announced his Golden Dome thing without checking with Canada. He can't do it without Canada's cooperation. Of course he can't, because there's so many trajectories into the U.S. over Canada. Now Canada is using it as leverage in trade negotiations. So dumbass Trump is clowning to find a way to make it work because Canada now has him by his tiny balls. I agree. That's hilarious. It's hilarious too. Oh, I find this is just unrelated to Trump driving our economy into the ground, but I think it's funny. Do you remember the Q shaman, Jacob Chansley, from the one who was dressed as the shaman when they broke into the Capitol? This is what he posted yesterday. "Doing this for my safety. These people are effing crazy. They think I'm their pet. That is how sick and effing twisted these people are. I'm fine and I will continue to fight and give Israel the finger. Let the Amazon move as..." Sorry, I just think it's funny. And he's showing examples. I'm not going to read them or show, I'm not going to enlarge them because I could get in trouble. But he's basically showing these threats he's getting for being against Netanyahu and Israel's blockade of Palestine and everything. Who knew the shaman had it in him? Whatever. And I find this absolutely depressing, right? I believe this is from a Washington Post article because I read this a couple of days ago or listened to it. This is a Washington Post reporter that called the Social Security system. And this is what it's like now when you can't get access to your Social Security benefits and you can't reach anyone, which I think this is how Doge saved us money, is making people's lives miserable so that billionaires can get richer.
Right now, if you have an issue with your Social Security and call the Social Security Administration to ask about it, this is who picks up.
How can I help you today?
Can I speak to an agent?
To better serve you, please briefly explain the reason for your call. How can I help you today?
I didn't get a check in April.
The 2025 Cost of Living Adjustment, or COLA, for Social Security and Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, beneficiaries is 2.5%. The standard Medicare Part B premium is $185 per month. If you're finished, feel free to hang up. Otherwise, how can I help you today?
That's enough to make you crazy. I mean, that was Social Security's new artificial intelligence chatbot. It is not particularly intelligent, it seems. So a week ago, a reporter from the Washington Post called the Social Security hotline, that's what you just heard, with the very basic issue. She didn't get a check. She wanted to speak to an agent. This is something lots of people are experiencing. The reporter wanted to know how long it would take for the chatbot to help with that very simple issue.
I didn't get a check in April and I want to speak to an agent.
You can get Social Security retirement benefits and work at the same time. Say agent for additional assistance. If you're finished, feel free to hang up. Otherwise, how can I help you today?
Agent.
For faster service, please say the reason for your call. How can I help you today?
I didn't get my April check and I want to speak to an agent.
The 2025 Cost of Living Adjustment, or COLA.
I mean, that is maddening. And not only does Social Security already use that AI chatbot for its national phone number, it's planning to roll out that automated chatbot to all of its field offices by this.
All of the field offices are going to have that. And like, I can't tell you, I've listened to like my mother talk to chatbots because, you know, older people don't understand. Like, you can't say anything you want. You don't, like, there's no chance that anybody's going to ever figure out how to use that. But don't worry, whilst no one's figuring out how to use it, billionaires are getting richer. It's fine. We're all being robbed. I don't know if anyone saw Trump's Happy Memorial Day post, but it was one of the creepiest, most disturbing things ever. Happy Memorial Day to all, including the scum that spent the last 4 years trying to destroy our country through warped radical left minds who allowed 21 million people. None of this, by the way, all of this is lies. You mean who saved our country from ruin, from your spending spree in your first term and recovered the best in the G7 from the pandemic, who allowed 21 million people. Nobody thinks that. Yeah, try like way less than that. Many of them being criminals and the mentally insane, which we know aren't true. The only person that released criminals into our country was Trump with the J6ers. Oh my God. Through an open border that only an incompetent president would approve, not lie, and through judges who are on a mission to keep unalivers, illicit substance dealers, rapists. You mean like you? That's you. You're a grape. You are the SAer who was found liable of SA. Gang members and released prisoners from all over the world. Again, there's no evidence of any of that. All of that is a lie. All over the world in our country so they can rob, unalive, and grape again. Again, maybe he's talking about himself. We don't know. All protected by these USA-hating judges who suffer from an ideology that is sick. Oh, you mean by following the Constitution and understanding American law? You know, passing the bar? And very dangerous for our country. Hopefully the United States Supreme Court and other good and compassionate judges throughout the land will save us from the decisions of the monsters who want our country to go to hell. That, again, it's always a confession. But fear not, we have made great progress over the last 4 months, running our economy into the ground. And America will soon be safe and great again. Again, happy Memorial Day and God bless America. The most this is for the troops, disrespectful weirdo. Then he posted again, basically saying he's going to make a speech at Arlington Cemetery. And he's like, enjoy. I screenshot this because I thought this was good. Trump voter and former talk show host John Cardillo, this is a quote from him, sorry, but this is grossly inappropriate. There's nothing happy about Memorial Day, and the rest of it on this day is just unbecoming for a commander-in-chief. Sad part is pretty much everyone feels the same, but too many are terrified to speak up. I agree. And Pete Hegseth spoke at Arlington before Trump. This is the other thing that I thought was really gross. Pete Hegseth, who repeatedly, well, first of all, has been credibly accused of rape, expressed hostility in the past to women serving in the military in general, but refused to acknowledge them. This is his quote. The American soldier fights not because he hates what is in front of him, but because he loves what is behind him. We honor his sacrifice, his courage, his duty, and his love. The young men with hopes and dreams and loves is called by his country, leaves behind his hometown, his parents, his siblings, his sweetheart, all that he knows to go fight a war that he may or may not understand. He's erasing service of women, non-binary, and trans people. Super cool, weirdo. Sorry, I was just reading some comments. And I'm not going to get into the Putin stuff because I have some more stuff to say. But also this weekend, one of the other shameful moments for Trump, Trump did this. He spoke at the West Point, military school commencement. Trump is out of his mind. Trump's a senile old man. He has no idea what he's talking about. This is a West Point graduation. Let me just show you one clip of Trump at the West Point Academy commencement.
A trophy one. It didn't work out too well, but that doesn't work out too well. I must tell you, a lot of trophy wives doesn't work out, but it made him happy for a little while at least. But he found a new wife. He sold his little boat and he got a big yacht. He had one of the biggest yachts anywhere in the world. He moved for a time to Monte Carlo and he led the good life. And time went by and he got bored. And 15 years later, the company that he sold to called him and they said, the housing business is not for us. You have to understand, when Bill Levitt was hot, when he had momentum, he'd go to the job sites every night. He'd pick up every loose nail. He'd pick up every scrap of wood. If there was a bolt or a screw laying on the ground, he'd pick it up and he'd use it the next day in putting together a house. A trophy one.
What? This is... And wore a MAGA hat, just so you understand how disgusting this is. He wore political propaganda. Like, military officers cannot wear political propaganda in any way. It's not political. Like, right, military service is not political. And he wore a creepy MAGA hat there, which is super disrespectful in the first place. Then he tells them all, well, he has to go fix China and Russia and goes golfing.
While President Biden, who just last year stood on that stage, gave a speech and shook every single hand, no auto pen required, but Trump, he bailed early because according to him, he had to go deal with China and Russia.
I'm going back now to deal with Russia, to deal with China.
Well, here he is dealing with China and Russia, and here he is again. Wow, what a war. While President Biden, who...
I thought this was funny. Watch this guy trying to get him off the stage at West Point. It's like, I love how they say Biden can't fight. Trump was like some creepy old man who they're like, okay, sir, please get off the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please remain standing for...
That was Trump's West Point stuff was literally the most creepy hour I've ever watched in my life. He should never be allowed to speak at another graduation. I thought the University of Alabama one was bad. People's faces were like, what's happening right now? Then Trump this weekend just lied through his teeth the entire weekend. Countries from all over the world want to make trade deals with us. It is a beautiful thing to see. You have zero trade deals. The good old USA will soon have tremendous growth and be stronger than ever. Again, Trump doesn't have any trade deals. The one he pretended to have with Great Britain literally said at the bottom of it, none of this is binding. and the details will be ironed out later. Whatever deal was made with China was admittedly for a few days, right? Or whatever. I think it's 90 days. And then the same thing will happen over again. Trump has 0 trade deals and is continuing to tell these weird stories. Our nation is staging one, if the greatest and fastest comebacks in history, come back straight to the bottom. None of this is true. In just 4 short months, we are respected again. No one ever respected you, and no one respects you now. Respected like never before. And just wait, with many trillions of dollars of investment, which I can mathematically prove is not true, in plants and factories until you see the numbers on growth. This, indeed, the golden age of America. That's why I showed you that video. There's no golden age of America. None of this is true. If Trump types things, it does not make them true. Oh, and this is not necessarily, but so this was today. Okay, because I am so like, I said I saw this Midas Touch update where they were like, Trump has disastrous presser. Yeah, I mean, every day is another disastrous reality show in the White House. Again, I'm not going to torment you with what he was up to, but I'm going to just show you one clip. This is Trump. This is all a lie.
That money, I went to Saudi.
And if you're like, why is Judge Boxo Wine Janine over there in the background? Judge Janine is at the background because that's the fake reality show started with her being sworn in as like interim DC attorney because his interim time period for schmatzy sympathizer Ed Martin had run out and he couldn't get him confirmed because even Republicans were like, this guy's awful. So now he swore in another interim person who will do his bidding, which is Boxo Wine Judge Janine from the 5. And if you're wondering why her husband paid Trump for a pardon, like she's deep in, delusional like land with Trump. Yeah. Her husband bought a pardon from Trump, but that's why she's creepily in the background there. But again, everything you're about to hear is a lie. This is Trump a few hours ago.
That money, I went to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and UAE. That money, I went to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and UAE, and we brought back $5.1 trillion. So I made that money in about 2 hours, the money that we're talking about, but it's still think of it, $300 billion we've spent with no checks, no balances. They just send cash. You can imagine what's happened to that money. I never saw anything like it in my life, but I'm more interested because I picked up $5.1 trillion and, by the way, got a beautiful, big, magnificent, free airplane for the United States Air Force, okay? Very proud of that, too. They tried to say, oh, it's Trump's airplane. Oh, yeah, sure. It's too big. It's too big, much too big.
When can we expect that to be the Air Force One?
Well, it's here already.
Yeah.
It's in the country. It's being refitted for military standard.
How much will it cost to refit it?
Oh, I don't know. Whatever it is, a hell of a lot less than building a new one. We're waiting too long from Boeing. Boeing has got to get its act together. Yeah.
Sir.
Again, that airplane, which, by the way, was gifted, it's costing us taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. Just the updates needed to it and to make it safe and secure to be Air Force One, it's costing us hundreds of millions of dollars. I just want to be clear. Every word you just heard this man say is a lie. Right now, he's saying he went to the Middle East and bought back $5 trillion. His original claim was $2 trillion, which is a fucking lie. I mean, in what world? And by the way, and I've talked about this before, this is exactly what he did in his first term. He kept saying, oh, 1 trillion investments that never effing materialized. Remember Foxconn? He is a liar. None of this is true. And I just want to be clear. Well, actually, first, let me show you some proof. If you want proof where you can itemize out all of Trump's lies and how, well, you could just ask AI. Even Grok will tell you Trump's a liar. I checked. I like to use Elon's AI tool just to see if it will confirm things that I know to be true. We're almost at 250K. Thank you so much for tapping the screen and sharing the live. I think it's important to do this fact checking. Trump is is taking credit for Middle East deals that predate his presidency. It's much worse than just the title. But again, this is a Washington Post article. Trump has been escalating on pressure on leaders in the Middle East to up their investment in the United States. I mean, saying that, but here's the best part. I want to just get the actual facts here. In Doha, the administration announced $8.5 billion in projects. Doha is Qatar, in projects involving the Texas energy company McDermott, including one focused on Qatar's liquefied natural gas expansion. But the company had previously announced the contracts for that initiative during what? Who is it? Joe Biden's presidency in 2023 and 2024. Trump made everyone just announce things that had already happened again. I mean, and make up things. When Trump was in Abu Dhabi, that's the United Arab Emirates, on Thursday, the White House announced $200 billion in new commercial deals with the UAE. Much of the corporate funding came from a cloud computing deal between Amazon and UAE state-owned telecommunications company which the White House claimed would contribute $181 billion for the local economy by 2023. But Amazon had already announced that contract in October, and the company had committed only about $1 billion over 6 years. The $181 billion estimate came from an Amazon-sponsored study, and it was a broad calculation of how much the UAE could increase its gross domestic product if it started using more cloud services. So again, we're talking about in the UAE, if it starts using cloud services, it could increase its value. And I just want to be clear, we are talking about business deals that the average American will never see shit from. Right? This is why I got so angry when MAG is like, we're number one in gross domestic product. What has that gotten you? Has it gotten you healthcare? Corporations getting rich? Billionaires getting richer? Has that brought you healthcare? Has that brought you any quality of living? No. It's actually made your quality of living worse. This is the most delusional shit I've ever heard in my life. Thank you so much for the gift. And I think I need to update the gift goals and stuff, and I will. It's just I'm doing a lot of reading. Oh, here, I can pin it. I'm doing a lot of reading today, but it's because I'm so annoyed. The math behind Trump's White House claim that Trump secured trillions on this trip is fuzzy. Fuzzy as in a lie, even including the contracts that predate his presidency. So again, even if you say, okay, you just made them repeat this and this was during Joe Biden's presidency, that's not even enough to make 2 trillion make sense. He said 5 trillion today. It's not even enough to make 2 trillion make sense. Even including the contracts that predate his presidency, the sum of the deals is under 1 trillion. So his original claim of 2 trillion, cut that in half, still less. We're talking about deals that were already made and they're just announcing them again. But the White House is also, and this is where it really gets annoying, is also counting announcements it made months before the trip, including a vague plan that the United Arab Emirates said would result in $1.4 trillion investment in the United States over the next decade. A vague plan that nothing has ever happened on. The UAE and the White House previously announced that deal in March. So he's just, again, a vague plan that nothing. If someone says, hey, this is my plan. And again, even if it was, let's say rich people in the US were going to start businesses or invest in rich people in the UAE, none of that involves us. The White House did not explain why its announcements included deals that predate Trump's presidency. This was the only comment that they would make when they were called out. The Washington Post is trying and failing to discredit the trillions of dollars in good deals secured by President Trump. Yeah, there are no deals. It's not real. None of it's real. She added that the deals included, quote, reaffirmed investments. You mean things that happened during Biden's presidency? Can you imagine if when Joe Biden was president, he literally was like, two businesses, one from another country, one from the US, made a deal, and Joe Biden said, I did this. This is me. I did all of this. I'm taking credit for it. It counts for technically nothing. But that's what we're talking about. Is Trump did nothing, has done nothing. Corporations that are robbing us and don't have to pay taxes or making deals with corporations in other countries that were made during Biden's presidency, and Trump's just taking credit for them. And every time he mentions any of this, it triples. Michael Kelvey, that's the McDermott International's president and CEO, said its partnerships in Qatar were developed over decades in the past, nothing to do with Trump, and that the company remains committed to support Qatar's energy development plans. That's Qatar making money from energy development plans, not us. Amazon did not comment, but on Friday, the company announced a new offering to accelerate cloud adoption in the United Arab Emirates. It did not announce any additional funds beyond the $1 billion it announced during Biden's presidency. Officials in Saudi Arabia and the UAE included deals that predated Trump's presidency in their announcements to inflate the investment figures, according to an official who, like others, spoke on the condition of anonymity to detail private discussions. MAGA will never know any of this because none of you can read nor want to read, because when in cognitive dissonance, the truth is antithetical to your means of survival. One businessman with close ties to Saudi Arabia described the creative math underway in Riyadh ahead of Trump's visit. The Saudi royal court, quote, contacted all the top businesses in the Gulf nation and, quote, and they were asked, how much have you invested in the United States in the last 2 years? How much have you put in the United States in any kind of investment? Real estate? So we're saying if any rich Saudi bought a house like in LA, add that up. Stocks, bonds, whatever, the businessman said, speaking on the condition of anonymity, so as not to jeopardize those close ties. The implication, he added, was that the Saudi government was seeking to assemble a set of numbers that could be included in the total investment announced during Trump's visit. Trump on Tuesday announced that the Saudi government would invest $600 billion in the United States, while still repeatedly teasing the country should invest up to $1 trillion. But the deals that the White House announced in the country so far total less than $300 billion. Some of the projects in that tally were previously announced, including some of the plans to improve infrastructure, such as King Salman International Airport. One of the U.S. companies, Jacobs, had announced it was selected for the airport project in August. The Trump administration, August, when Biden was president, has also taken a broad view of what it counts. And here we go. This is where it gets, all of this is just lies, but here's where it gets absolutely obscene. The Trump administration, in what world, has taken a broad view as what it counts as foreign investment? You mean it's just making up shit? Say the truth, Washington Post, including military purchases. What? In its estimates, 2 of the arms deals it announced appeared to predate the Trump administration. Biden is taking arms deals that Trump is taking arms deals that Biden negotiated and saying that he negotiated them and counting them as revenue or something he brought to the U.S. The Biden administration in 2022 notified Congress of its intention, quote, fixed site, low, slow, small, unmanned aerial system, integrated defeat system, built by Raytheon. Raytheon has a huge location in Arizona. Raytheon's a scary government contractor. You always hear about other government. If you've never heard of Raytheon, live in fear of them. To counter, one of my friends is an engineer there, and the things he does are terrifying. Built by Raytheon to counter unmanned aircraft. On Wednesday, the White House announced that Raytheon had, quote, secured a $1 billion agreement for Qatar's acquisition of that same system. So Joe Biden allowed Qatar to buy the system from Raytheon, and Trump is saying that he did it. A Raytheon spokeswoman did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Trump's just making up lies. Also on Wednesday, the White House announced a $2 billion General Atomics deal to sell drones to Qatar. But that sale has been in the works for years. The reason these sales have to go through the U.S. government is because Qatar is so effing shady. And we don't know if we should sell them weapons and other things, and whose hands they will end up in. The White House said an additional $38 billion represented potential investments that were outlined in a statement of intent. Meaning, Trump just said, sign this paper saying you'll spend something in the future. Quote, a lot of it is going to be aspirational. That means a lie. Hussein Ibish, a senior resident fellow at the Arab Gulf States Institute in Washington, said of the big numbers rolled out in Riyadh, Doha, and Abu Dhabi. A lot of it is going to be promised and not delivered on. You mean the story of Trump's life? Can we put that on his tombstone? A lot of it was promised and not delivered on. That's literally who Donald Trump is. All promises, no delivery. Yeah, and I could go on, but I do suggest reading that article if for whatever reason you ever believe that anything Trump says is true. It's not. He did this same thing during his first term and delivered on nothing. Oh, I love this. This is Justin Wolfers again. I'm just further putting the nail in the coffin that Trump has done nothing nor understands international trade deals.
I expect we'll probably see a few more deals even this week. There's some stuff very close to finished, and it's up to the president, of course.
My economic source tonight is Justin Wolfers, the professor of economics and public policy at the University of Michigan. And it's great to have you here. Do you think Kevin Hassett has a point there in terms of the on-again, off-again negotiating tactics that they say are working in their favor here?
Caitlin, I'm literally just stifling laughter. We were told April 2nd was Liberation Day tariffs. A week later, they said, no, we didn't really want to tariff people. We just wanted leverage for deals. And then later on, they said, we'll do 90 deals in 90 days. So therefore, they left 102 countries out in the cold. And then later on, they said, Trump said he'd done 200 deals already. Then someone clarified and said that was sub deals, whatever a sub deal is. And then they announced a deal with Britain where it was clear they gave the British Prime Minister 24 hours notice. And the last sentence of that document, by the way, says both parties recognise this is not a legally binding deal. Then they announced a deal with China, but the deal with China was a deal that we agreed that in the future we will speak about creating deals. And that's all the deals we have. And Kevin's saying he wants credit because they're doing a lot of good work on deals.
I expect we'll probably see
such great work on deals that never don't mean anything and never materialize. That's what MAGA, if you believe that Trump has made deals, that just means that you're an idiot. I hate to break the news to you. If for any reason you believe that Trump is good on deals, that means I cannot read. I cannot do basic math. I am incapable of figuring out what's going on, and I'm supporting a guy that's robbing me blind. Oh, here's a great graph, too. I love this one. This is another one from Justin Wolfers, I think yesterday. While there's a lot of economic uncertainty under Trump, there's also one pattern, and have I not pointed out this pattern since the first time he manipulated the stock market? There's one pattern that has proved to be completely reliable. Did I not say I see the world in patterns, and this is the clearest one? Whenever he raises tariffs, markets tank. whenever he reduces tariffs, markets rise. And I said there was five. I mean, did I not say there's a very clear pattern of Trump purposely manipulating the markets, driving them down so people with capital can buy low, driving the markets back up again? This is market manipulation and transfers of wealth to the top of the economy. Don't believe my mind that just all I see are patterns. Trump has a very clear one. Driving the markets down and helping people with capital get richer and allowing them to come back up. He's going to do it again and again and again while we all act like we don't know what's going on. Justin Wolfers is growing on me. This is another great explanation of bilateral trade deficits, which Trump doesn't understand, or he wouldn't. And MAGA, you certainly don't understand anything about economic trade. And that's why when you say, oh, we have these trade deficits, you sound really stupid.
Right. Let me give you two ways of describing it. So the first is a very literal thing. When we say a trade deficit, what do we mean? It means we buy more stuff from Europe than they buy from us. So it means if what we're doing is tracking dollar bills, we have more of our dollars going that way than come back in, we the US, right? So that's a trade deficit. But let me point something out. Every time I send money to Europe, I do it because I'm buying something. I might be buying a Lacoste shirt. I might be buying a bottle of wine. I might be buying manufacturing equipment. So it's also true that they're sending us more stuff than we're sending them. So it means in terms of stuff, the stuff that actually makes you happy, that makes life richer and more exciting, we have a trade surplus. We're getting more stuff from them than they're getting from us. All we're doing is sending them pieces of paper. So yes, we have a trade deficit. We also have a trade surplus if you look at it in stuff rather than dollars. Second way of thinking about it. This, I think, is the simplest. We economists are firmly of the view that what matters is not your terms of trade with one other trading partner. Let me give you an example. When I go to my local grocery store, every time I go there, I buy some stuff from them, and they buy nothing from me. I say, would you like to buy some economics knowledge? And they say, we have no need, Professor Walkers. So I buy a lot of stuff from them. They buy nothing from me, but that's okay. Because it turns out I go to my job at the University of Michigan and I sell them economics stuff. So I got unbalanced trade with the University of Michigan, and I've got unbalanced trade with my grocery store. And that's all okay because it all works out in total. Yeah. So the thing that obsesses the president has no genuine economic meaning at all. And it's not me saying that. That's the entire economics profession. Right. Let me give you.
That's a great, hey, thank you. I just saw that. I love Brett. Thank you guys for being here. I'm just debunking. I'm just showing that Trump's a liar who has, in fact, lost us money and continues to lie about it. Love Brett. Next time you see him, tell him I said thank you for the raid. He is amazing. How long have I been live? Okay. Sorry. I'm not trying to be, I'm thinking right now I'm thinking maybe I'm just going to continue this live tomorrow because I've gotten like 10,000 text messages in the last 5 seconds. I think Jones is live. It seems like, I don't know what is going on because obviously I haven't been watching it, but I have never seen my phone blow up like this. I don't have any idea what's going on. But Jesus, I just got 5 more text messages since I just said that. I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, I figured that since nobody is in this live, I figured something was, jeez. I have so many people are texting me crazy things. Wow, there's a lot of insane things going on. I literally have 152 unread messages, and I think I only had like 70 unread messages before this. I have no idea what's going on. I think Jones is trying to God knows right now, and he's being I don't know. I don't want to talk about this on live, but I do think, okay, I've been live for 2 hours. I think I'm just going to continue this tomorrow because I don't know. I need to call a couple of people and see what they're trying to tell me. I'm kind of confused. I don't know what's going on. I think a lot of people are in a live hosted by Jones right now, and then some people are asking me to call them and asking me questions about a couple of things, and I want to be as helpful as I can. Yeah, I have no idea what's happening right now. It seems like some sort of 5-alarm fire. So I'm thinking I'll just continue this tomorrow. What I want to get to, the most important thing I wanted to get to today, and that's driving me nuts, are these pardons. I don't know if anyone has seen who Trump has pardoned in the last 48 hours. If we're mad about there's so many things to be mad about. Being robbed is important. Thanks, Toodle. If you're that's hilarious. That made me smile. Thanks for that text. That's the only one not about Jones. Literally, Toodle texted me. He's like, "This is not about Jones." Thank you, because it's kind of scaring me. I thought the world was ending for a second when I checked my text messages. But I want to talk about these insane pardons, but I'll just get to it tomorrow. Maybe I'll do an extra live, or maybe I'll do it later. I have no idea what's going on right now, but it seems important. So I'm just going to end this live, and then I'll pick up the important parts later, which most importantly, we need to finish the economic stuff and get to the pardons tomorrow, and then we'll see. But again, I'm just going to end this live. I think most people are watching Mr. Jones in his live doing God knows what. Sounds pretty intense based on the hundreds of text messages I've got. So I think I'm just going to end this now, and then we'll pick this up tomorrow. Later.